Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mad Mamluks podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts, Shaykh Amir Saeed. You heard me right. Shaykh Amir has visited us on Mad Mondays. Mahin and Mort. What's up, y'all? We're going to go ahead and get started with the business ends of things. And halfourdeen.com is a place you go when you need a significant other. Make sure you go to the private matrimonial website. This is the website you go to when you're tired of the swipe left, swipe right game where you just not able to find your significant other because you know how it is. People just want to see if you're into them, and and then the whole game starts and no one ends up talking. It's just like, oh, she's into me or he's into me, and nothing ends up happening after that. So go to halfourdeen.com for the serious matchmaking experience. wahidinvest.com is the place you go after you find your spouse and you're ready to invest in halal Sharia compliant financing, investing. You want to make sure that your income is generating in a halal manner. Go to wahidinvest.com. mywasiya.com is the place you go after everything. When you start wanting to settle down, make sure that your finances are distributed in a Sharia compliant manner, making sure that your loved ones get the get your finances, or get your what's it called? Inheritance distributed equally and in a Sharia compliant manner. Oh my God, I got stuck there. Whoa, wrong button. We're back. All right. Assalamu alaikum. What's going on, panel? Shaykh Amir Saeed, how you doing?
It's good. I'm a little excited. I feel like I get the jitters as if this is our first episode ever.
Jitters,
nice.
huh?
The jitters. I'm on with Mort, the master of the mic. You know what I'm saying? I got to live up to something, so inshallah I do good. Mort?
Yeah. Do you remember back in the days when you would send me your rap lyrics on over instant message?
Hey, man, you started it, and you made me better at it. We used to send each other back, and we used to freestyle writing.
Yeah, he would freestyle me, and he would. The problem with Amir though is that he would take like 15 minutes to get back to me. I would literally go out and do
that
something.
Was just a few times, man.
Like smoke a cigarette and come back, and he'd still be typing something out.
Was just. By the way, Mort, mashallah, you're looking very good.
You are. I think he's got some nur on his face.
Mashallah, what a handsome
It's that
guy.
married life, I think.
Mashallah.
I think it's either nur or it's fair and lovely.
Or it's just shaving.
Oh,
Morty, I miss you.
Before we get started, go to patreon.com/the Mad Mamluks. Help us out in whatever way you can. A couple bucks a month would be the world to us. And what else? Make sure you like and subscribe. Cool. That's it. Yeah.
All right,
So
very good.
did you
So
guys
we're ready to
hear-
get started.
Yeah. Did you guys hear about Merciful Servant going down?
No way.
Yeah.
What was up with that?
Merciful Servant is one of it's probably the most popular YouTube website or YouTube channel. They have almost 2 million subscribers, I think.
Why is it going down?
Well, YouTube just pulled them down without giving them a reason, and it was a shock to everyone because Merciful Servant is very benign. All they do is post lectures from Islamic scholars and stuff, and there's nothing really controversial about anything on there.
There's a lot of cool stuff.
So maybe they had one of those poems, like pro-Palestine thing or something, maybe.
No,
And,
but they didn't give them a reason.
They won't. I mean, sometimes when you have a flagging campaign and people get together, I remember back when I used to be on YouTube, back in the early days, people would go on flagging campaigns and they would say, flag this video. They would go in like little groups and say, okay, everyone flag this video. And then they would get them, flagged off of YouTube.
Was that your Shia YouTube channel?
Anti-Shia. I had a bunch of stuff. I had, not only Shia, but I had a bunch of stuff.
He used to debate Shias and replied to them.
I had a defitnitized video that back in like 2000 something got like 4 million views. It's basically me taking 3 guitars and bashing them into pieces because
yeah, you and my brother did that.
Yeah, I had 3 different guitars, 2 electric and 1 acoustic, and I bashed them in front of everybody. And then I don't know. I felt like a rock star doing that for some reason, and then people subscribed to me, and it got like really viral. I was on some atheist website, and they were like always like, "Oh, how did that guy do that?" Oh, and then I
It's
don't
very
know all these
disrespectful. It's very
yeah all these
disrespectful.
atheists started making videos towards me, like asking me why I'm Muslim, and I was like, okay, and I started debating, and then
It all
yeah, I
started
don't
from
know,
there.
yeah, and then I got tired and shut the whole thing down.
Hmm.
Then you came to Egypt.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, they were able to get back up after a couple hours. They, it was. But I mean, the thing is, it's just the principle of it all. Remember how we were talking about Alex Jones getting kicked off of YouTube, and people obviously, they lost their minds at how dare you think Alex Jones is acceptable? No, we're not saying Alex Jones is acceptable. We're talking about setting a precedence for removing channels that are, they're not inciting violence or they're not inciting hate. They're just, it could be misinformation, and for all intents and purposes, Alex Jones is misinformation. And the way we see it, he's a crazy guy that has nothing benefit or
I
very
think there is
little.
some beneficial stuff. I think it's just
Yeah, I mean, of course, there's a grain of truth to everything, right? But
you know.
in general, like the guy's nonsense. You see his followers; they're all maniacs. You see the comments in his videos; they're all over the place. There are so many people who hate Muslims in his audience, and it was just like you wonder like why aren't Muslims trying harder to set up their own kind of media host where they don't have to be subject to YouTube and all the other social media platforms that are, it seems like we're just on borrowed time right now. That it seems like a matter of time where people will say like, oh, you said what about the end of times? All the hadith regarding the end of times. There's various things mentioned about pigs and Jews, and you don't know. I mean, you don't know what's symbolic, what's literal, but it's there. And if you repeat that, it could cause a terms of service violation. I don't know what the exact wording is, but it could be some kind of violation that ends up pulling your channel down, and it's something that's scary for all
I mean,
content providers.
at the end of the day, it's their platform, right? And they can do
Yeah,
what they want to do with it. I remember when I was on YouTube back then, there were oftentimes flagging campaigns. And so actually back when one of the brothers decided to open up his own platform, it's called Muslim TV it was, and it was up for a while. But then we all just kind of got busy, and it just went down the drain. But it was actually a platform for all Muslim YouTubers to actually upload their videos in case it got flagged, so that way you could bring all your videos back up. Because so I definitely would encourage anybody who is making YouTube videos, if you are making content that might upset some people for whatever reason, like I mean, even if it's benign, but some people just don't like hearing about Islam, make a backup of your videos like onto another server or somewhere, because you can always link your videos and re-upload them to another YouTube channel, after you open another one.
fantastic advice there, Morty.
That's a great advice.
Because yeah, if anyone is a YouTube creator, you know that in the Creator Studio there's a way where you can just download the MP4 version of the file, which is a video file, and you just pull it down and keep a backup of it. And you never know when, if they delete your channel or shut it down, you have no access to getting that again. So it's very
True.
important that.
Hey, did you guys see the news real quick? Sorry, I'm just gonna segue into something else here. Did you see the news today about how some of the Fox News analysts are making fun of Trump, because apparently Trump tweeted out something saying that basically to the effect of, remember, Michael Cohen only became a rat in quotations after the FBI did something which was absolutely unthinkable and unheard of until the witch hunt was illegally started. And it's funny because even the senior commentators on Fox News were like, um, Andy McCarthy, he says, "Sir, in mobster lingo, a rat is a witness who tells prosecutors real incriminating info. Perhaps use a different word. Searches of a lawyer's offices are common enough that the DOJ has a procedure for them. Here it yielded evidence of crimes you said he should be jailed for. You should stop." And then other people who have worked on real mob cases, like Eli Honig. He says that after being involved in cases with with the mob families like the Gambino and the Genovese family, I usually hesitate to make this comparison, but here it is completely warranted. This calling somebody who provides information to law enforcement a rat is a straight up mob boss language. So apparently, what he doesn't realize is a rat is actually somebody that is actually giving real, accurate information, who but is basically telling on criminals and providing real information. So apparently, he's coming off looking like a mob boss now.
Good for him. It's about time.
So the channel's growing, Mort and Maheen. I know a lot of people are tuning in and they're finding out a lot more about us, and they're finding out that these guys, they're not the regular Muslims that they're accustomed to meeting on various other channels. There's brothers like Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab and many other duat out there who are who've done a fantastic job, and our channel is much different. I feel like we need to start kind of do a reboot of some of our earlier episodes where we kind of explained a little bit about how we figure out what our format is, what we're all about, and maybe Shaykh Amir can start things off and give the listeners a little bit about what the Mad Mamluks is trying to do.
Yeah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
Oh my God! Why is this formality starting?
It's not formality. I just feel like saying Bismillah. I just feel like saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
We're just giving you a hard time.
I know. I'm just
go
saying.
ahead.
I just feel like saying it. It feels good,
Just go ahead.
Sorry,
man.
you guys aren't at that level yet.
This is a dhikr-free zone.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, your holiness is
I'm stepping away from his chair, man.
Maheen.
A thunderbolt is going to hit this kid.
Actually,
Yeah, I know. I'm
glad you
afraid
said
that we shouldn't even be talking to him or Maheen.
No, I'm glad he said that. So
You're glad he said it's a
no,
dhikr-free
I'll
zone?
get back to I'm gonna address that.
Shaykh
point.
Amir has husna done no matter what.
No, I'm gonna address that point is because I like one thing that I want to tell people is that everyone does their work, whether it's Islamic work through good actions or at their workplace and their teaching or whatever the case is. We consider this our dhikr, our ibadah, even though there's some madness to what we do. We're still clarifying things, and we are showing people, our goal is to show people to see things for what they are.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, we do that on a medium, a platform of joking and a little bit of madness, and that's all good, inshallah. Inshallah, all of our intentions are good. So dhikr comes in many forms, and many of that is clarifying, many ways of approaching that is clarifying what, the circumstance that people are living in, making sense of it so they can practice their deen. But to start off, one thing that all of us have to understand is that like-minded people always gather together, right? When you're like-minded, you form your own clique, right? Now, it's up to those individuals when they form that clique to do something beneficial with it, right? How can they help themselves? How can they help the people around them? And how can they help Islam? So you have like-minded people, even though we're not exactly the same, you, me, Mort, and the whole entire team, and Maheen, and all that good stuff. We have our own personalities, yet we have a certain goal, which is why we started off was not only to inspire young Muslims, but also to make sure that Muslims are comfortable in their skin. And how do we do that? Like I think of it as a two-part approach, right? And it shouldn't be more complicated than this. I think one of the things that we addressed in the beginning stages is young people leaving the fold of Islam in big numbers, right? And when you clarify something for younger and older generations, the reason why people would not feel comfortable with Islam and eventually them leaving Islam would be a two-part misunderstanding. One part misunderstanding would be, or the first type of misunderstanding would be the lack of understanding sacred text. They see something, they read it on the face value, they don't know what the sacred text, meaning the Quran and Sunnah, are saying, and what the context of the text is, if you want to say, and it doesn't sit well with them. The second is not understand the reality around them, right? They think they have a certain understanding of the reality around them, and they may feel that this is the best way to live, right? When we get into like postmodern thought and modernity and all that good stuff, they think that the situation, circumstance they're living in is the best way to live, and it's going to contradict with many things as far as Islam, so they have to make a decision. Do I pick Islam or do I pick my situation that I'm living in? My circumstances and what's in my environment. So what we try to do is, and this is how I see it, is that we try to make, number one, Muslims understand the reality that they're living in by breaking this down. That's why I love this whole Mad Mondays and Taboo Thursday thing that you spearheaded, Sim. So jazakallah khairan for that. It's a way to break down the reality that we're living in and circumstances that people are living in, and also bringing in a twist of Islam to it. So there's a nice correlation and understanding, a smooth transition between the reality and Islam itself, right? And I think that's all. That's what I'm here for. Every one of us has our own way of looking at it, which makes it beautiful. You have a different way of looking at it probably, but we all have the same goal, right?
There's a lot of layers, right?
There's many layers.
There's layers on top of layers. This whole idea kind of started because of us wanting to have our own platform, and instead of waiting for people like Joe Rogan or Sam Harris or whoever is hating on Muslims, instead of waiting on them to invite us, why don't we create our own platform so that we create our own narrative? We have so many resources in our community, in not just in Chicago or the United States, but in Canada, UK, Australia. There's so many Muslims who are very bright, and they're not getting the attention that they need. I mean, they have so much to contribute, and us waiting around for some other platform, some other kuffar platform to invite them over, it's just ridiculous. Like, I'm trying to be like...
Maheen got you on that. No, you're not even trying. It's natural now. We've been around Maheen for a long time. We're not going to say non-Muslims or non-believers. Say kuffar.
Kuffar is not a pejorative. It's not an insult. It just means you're not a Muslim.
Why would you say kuffar?
Well, I'm just saying it...
Or koofs.
Yeah, koofs. I mean, it's the kuffar.
Yeah,
Look at Mark. Look at his straight face. Why do you say kuffar?
Jeez.
It just...
I just thought it sounded nice.
Oh, it sounds funny? Okay.
But anyway, sorry, man.
All right.
So anyway, I think we wanted to have... there was many reasons not to do it, right? I thought about myself, and I'm like, man, I'm not at the level of Ali Dawa and Muhammad Hijab and, Shaykh Amir Saeed. Mashallah, these guys are just...
I became Shaykh Amir Saeed because of you, bro. You're the one that kind of put me on a platform.
And I'm right here, like...
I appreciate the humility, though.
I'm like, one of those planes that are missing a wing that got kind of shot around in World War II. Just barely staying up,
I'm glad Shaykh Amir is here because, I'm hoping that my support of him is gonna count for me on the day of judgment. Like I feel like he's like the guy that I kind of supported, and like he's my ticket. I'm just gonna intercede for me.
Man, I hope.
Dude,
you're scaring me, bro. But Mort, bro. Mort always shows love, man. Mort always shows love, bro. Mort, I love you, bro.
So
yeah, I kind of love you too.
There's that element,
I love you back.
And I always felt like Muslim entertainment was just, it wasn't funny, and I felt like we
inorganic. That was the problem.
I felt like we always had a great dynamic together, and we had a lot of laughs, and some of it, we realized like, hey, we can't put this on the podcast because that's not the way of a dawah carrier, I guess. I don't know what the correct terminology is, but yeah, the torch bearers of light do not speak in such ill manner. So we decided like, okay, let's just calm down on some of our language and try to use a bleep instead of saying the actual word. But well, I mean, we're not like truck drivers or anything, but we can be. I don't know. I'm just saying.
I mean, the other thing is, I think there's a pretty big void of like legit, honest, organic Muslim entertainment, right? Whenever I saw I don't want to mention groups by name because some people might get offended, and even maybe some of the artists might get offended, but I always felt like they took like non-Muslim comedy or music or whatever it was, and then all they did was like just put few inshallah, alhamdulillah, mashallah words in there, and then it became like religious, right? And like, to be honest, like I'm hearing like nasheeds about girl, you look fine in a hijab, it's so corny to me, right? I mean it's so corny. And like I've seen like the typical like comedy routines where like, oh, people think I'm a terrorist. Funny, I mean, dumb stuff that I have no relevance to at all. Like, I mean, the average everyday Muslim in America, I don't think we get accused of being terrorists on an airplane. It doesn't happen to me, right? So, I mean, for me, I just felt like that comedy was just overdone, and even the entertainment in general is just overdone. It wasn't organic. It wasn't something I'd sit back and be like, oh, I can't wait to go home and catch an episode of that tomorrow. Like, I
Right.
mean, the only thing that really did that for me are two things: the Umar series and the Ertugrul. Other than that, anything related to Islamic entertainment is like zero for me. I'll avoid it. Like, I don't watch it because it's so corny to me.
Yeah.
So I was trying to hope that I would present like at least myself in an authentic, organic way and just be myself. And I mean, I think I just look funny, so I can make people laugh just by looking funny.
And that's not to say, like, that's not to poop on other people's channels. And I think I don't I'm not buttering up anyone or saying something nice just for the sake of it. I genuinely sometimes when I had my lows in life, I would put on channels like Merciful Servant and Ali Dawa or whatever, and there's many benefits even for people who are seasoned and have received training. There's a lot of reminders. I know Shaykh Amir doesn't need any of this kind of stuff, but
man,
for us
I love
regular
watching it.
people, we like we need
people.
to be reminded by.
I think you guys misunderstood who I was, but anyways,
I'm just being mean to him.
Maheen got on late
No,
though. Maheen got on a
just
little
like
later.
to tease him a little bit. I mean, because sometimes in private I call him my holiness.
No,
just
but another thing that listeners have to understand: we've known each other since we were little kids, so we can talk to each other however we want. And I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm anything.
yeah. So
special,
all you
you're
young
anything
kids,
special.
don't be like DMing Sheikh Amir with these weird comments like that. Calling him these names and stuff like that. It's
No,
not for you.
anyone
to
can
joke.
say anything they want to. I'm
Yeah,
nothing
if
special.
for the listeners who don't know him personally, you gotta call him Sheikh Al-Allama Amir Saeed.
No,
Hafidhahullah ta'ala.
no, you don't.
And then
man.
you can
Just
proceed
call
with the
me-
question.
Leader of the standing committee.
Sheikh.
Naam, akhi.
Hayakallah.
Leader of the standing committee.
I think you guys are getting a little carried away. So Maheen jumped in a little late, but I think the new
Mahin
listeners
just added another
have-
layer of just outspokenness, and he's funny. And
But how do you see it, Maheen? Tell us. How do you see the
See
Mad
what?
Mamluks?
Wait,
Mad
Mahi,
Mamluks?
before you go, can I
Look how off guard he is.
no, I wanna like talk about like a little bit for like my interaction with you before the whole Mamluk stuff.
Sure, go for it.
So I met Maheen like, what was it, like 10 years ago maybe?
it was
I
on
think-
Eid with
Yeah, it was on
your
Eid.
cousin.
One of my cousins that I don't see all the time was like, hey, I have some brother with me for Eid, and we're going to go to Caribou Coffee. Do you want to come with or whatever? I said, okay, sure. I'll meet you guys over there. So here I met this guy, Maheen, and he's a nice guy. I'm not nothing. I mean, totally different than what he was right now. I mean, I think maybe because it was a new meeting, and I am exactly the way I think I am.
You also had a massive beard and a thoban.
Oh yeah. So did I have a beard at that time? I had a beard
Your
at that time.
beard was huge, dude. It was
Oh,
like
okay.
down to your chest.
Yeah, I was like Moses. Yeah, so at that time, and then like he adds me on. Oops, sorry, someone's calling me. Anyway, so he adds me on Facebook. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Nice kid. Clean. He has a small beard, but inshallah he'll change. We'll make some dawah. And then I'm like, oh, and then I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh my God, the guy went to Bangladesh and he's like giving up like he's giving checks to rulers. A'udhu billah. I'm like, he doesn't know Tawheed al-Hakimiyya. I'm like, man, I gotta ignore this guy. I gotta this mubtadi'een, I have to avoid him, dude. And then I mean that wasn't that bad, but I'm like,
You
oh
took
cool, but
checks
he
to
was a
the
nice
rulers?
guy. So
Yeah.
we just stayed Facebook friends. And then Sim was like, oh, there's this new guy. He has a great radio voice. We should bring him on. And then he comes into the studio at that time, the basement. And I'm like, dude, I know this guy from somewhere.
No, dude. He was more at the barbecue where we first met him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
When
that's
he was
just what
wearing
it
all
was.
red. I was
Outside,
like,
we had
who is
barbecue.
this dude wearing all red? Red New Balances, red hat, red
Yeah,
shirt.
and then it took me a while to notice it because at that time he didn't dress that way. Like he was a little bit more.
That was wearing a thobes and always like a topi or something, right?
I think you had
Or
like
like dress
slacks
shirt.
on and a plaid shirt, like a
Yeah,
college
yeah. Because I was recently married still, so I was still
Oh
in,
yeah,
like,
so you were in
trying to
that
impress
Uncle
my
Phase
wife
type of
mode.
thing, right? Yeah, he was trying to look like the good kid, like the father guy and or like a husbandy. But
Husbandy.
the thing is, I didn't recognize him, and I'm like, oh, finally it clicked. And then at that point is when I actually got to know him. Like I had no idea who this guy was, and then I got to know him, and then I think I just admired his outspokenness, and I'm like, hey, I can vibe with this guy.
Yeah, because your cousins, they're really nice guys, right? But they're really like proper and polished individuals.
opposite of me, dude.
They don't bring like the with the ghulu and the jahiliyyah out of me like you do. So
I don't think any of the listeners know these Arabic terms. and you
ghulu
guys-
is extremism, and jahiliyyah is ignorance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We try to keep it real so that everyone else can understand what we're talking about. Shaykh Amir and Mahin sometimes get really excited, and all of a sudden, all this Arabic starts spewing out of their mouth, and everyone's like, "What's going on? What's so funny? I don't know what you're talking about."
Durka. Oh my god, I can't imagine like some non-Muslim listening to this and I'm like, what's all this durka going on now?
Though I saw some comments from some Islamophobe lady. She's like, "Y'all seem like nice folks, and properly westernized and everything, but y'all got to watch out for this Islam. Like delete."
Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. They do that. I was talking. I honestly debate. Sim and Amir know that I use other platforms. And I've been online for a very long time, so I debate. And I debate with all types of Islamophobes, and I hear this stuff all the time. So when I see these troll comments, I'm like programmed to ignore them. Like nobody cares about some crazy Jesus lady, who's no one cares about that stuff. But anyways, go ahead. So
Actually, tell us. So you're on a topic. Tell the story about what you did at ISNA. I don't think the listeners know about that.
What story?
What
when you were interacting with white supremacists and Black Panthers.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, but
that was
how
so
about this?
funny.
Since you're on a topic, we'll get back to me in a second. But why
right.
don't you roll into that real quick? Share
if
that
you guys-
story.
Yeah. So this happened at the last ISNA conference that we went to. We had a presence at the last ISNA conference in Texas. It was in Houston. And so little did we know, because of the way it was set up, it was set up very nice. The hotel has an connected bridge that you walk over in order to get into the conference center. So you don't walk outside. So we went about our business and we were going to the conference. And later on, we find out that there's actually a protest outside, white supremacists protesting Muslims that were gathering there. And then there was another group, the Black Panthers. And then there was this Socialist Democrat Party or Communist Party of America. Both of them were combined to one section. Okay. And they're all brandishing guns, right? I mean, the Black Panthers have their guns strapped on their shoulders. And I'm not talking about a pistol. I'm talking about AR-15s. I'm talking about MP, Uzis. I'm talking about straight up assault rifle.
Sim actually got scared. He hid away in the hotel room.
Yeah. So I'm like, this is kind of cool. Let me walk over there and talk to these people. So I walk up to the liberals and the Socialist Democrat Party, and they're holding signs in Arabic, ahlan wa sahlan, marhaba fi. All these signs, they're holding them up welcome, we love you, you can come. They're trying to give me a hug, when white lady was giving me a hug, whatever. I'm like, oh, I can't do that. But they were like, oh, welcome anytime to Texas. You belong here. You're an American. You belong here. I'm like, thank you. Yes, I know. I love you guys too. And then I'm like, well, what are you guys doing here? And they're like, well, we just want to come here and give our presence and let you guys know that we love you and that we're here for you. I said, all right, well, thank you very much. Let me get you guys some bottled waters. So I pulled out my backpack and just gave some bottled water that I had. And then I went to the next group, which is right in the middle, with the Black Panthers. And all these guys were 6'5", and I'm 5'7", so I'm not even that tall. But these guys are 6'5", 6", right? And they're all brandishing guns, and they're about it. They're really about militant. They're really about it. So I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing here? They're like, one of them goes, hey, salam alaikum, whatever. I'm like, all right, cool.
No. Before you continue, it's either Aso Malinkin or Oscar Maya Bacon.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
No, Oscar.
Yeah,
You gotta say Oscar
something
Maya
like that,
Bacon.
right? So I'm like, wa alaikum assalam. And I'm talking to him. I'm like, yo, what are you guys doing? He's like, yeah, son, man, these people out here, they think they can run Texas. You know what I'm saying? So we here let them know that you can't just come over here with their guns and bleep and, just hang out here and bleep, So I'm like, that's cool. And then the guy was like, hey, you should actually join us. I'm like, well, I'm not actually black. And then he got disappointed. He thought I was a half black. He thought I was a mulatto, right? And then he got he's like, well, that's cool. They're like, that's cool. And then I went and talked to the white supremacists. I'm like, so I've talked to all these other two groups here. I'm going to talk to you guys. So I'm talking to them, and they're like,
let me just repeat that. Did you just say that you told them you were a mulatto?
No, they thought
No,
he was
they
a
thought I
Malay.
was
Oh,
mulatto.
that they
They
thought
thought
you.
he was half.
That's
black.
why they were upset because they were like not upset, but he's like, hey, why don't you join the Black Panthers? And I'm like,
Mm.
well, I'm not really black, and so he thought I was black. He thought I was a mulatto. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Light skinned black.
Normally you get confused for Puerto Rican. That's why.
I do, but Puerto Ricans also can be confused with being mulattoes too,
True.
That's
right?
true.
So, but anyways, so what happened was, then I go to the to the white supremacists, and here's this crazy guy. He's like, I'm like, what are you doing here? He's like, well, we don't want these Muslims around here, this creeping Sharia in this country. I mean, this is America. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I was born and raised here. He's like, yeah, but you haven't assimilated into our culture. I'm like, well, I mean, my mom and dad both work for the federal government. I mean, I don't know how much more assimilated I can get. You know what I mean? And then he's like, well, then we start talking. I'm like, well, and then the idea is that he starts saying that, you know what? Well, you guys are not really patriotic. You guys can't be Americans because your religion prevents you from being an American. And then I'm like, you realize that majority of Muslims in America are generally, they're productive people. They have jobs. They contribute. Like Syrian Arab Americans are probably one of the most educated minorities in the country. Indians specific, and in that category, like Muslim Indians are part of that. They are probably one of the highest wage earners in the country, right? They make more than white men
Yeah.
in the country, right? So the thing is, I'm telling him that, hey, you know what? We actually, provide a service to the country. We are, providing a tax money revenue. We're contributing. We are part of the society. And I'm like, so you guys are in pretty much on a lot of the states that are Republican are in welfare states. I mean, look, West Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, they're not doing too well. So I told them, I said, so are you not grateful that we give you tax dollars? Like we're actually helping out. He's like, and then he goes on to this tangent. He's like, well, when the Constitution says that we're going to leave this, for our nations or for our sons, he's like, that means me. He's like, my daddy, he came from West Virginia. He's like, my daddy, he fought for me to have my right, and all this money you give me, I'm owed it. It's my money. You should be giving it to me anyways. And I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense. I'm like, if we weren't here, I told him, even if we have that money, even if you feel like you're entitled to it, if I'm not working and we're not working to give it to you, you're not going to have any money, right? And then he gets frustrated, right? And then he starts doing on that, Muslim bashing stuff. Oh, you this, do that, you Allah, moon, God, all the stuff, right? So I just told him, I let him rant. And I said, listen, the minute you began insulting my religion, I knew that you were unhinged and you became very emotional. So I'm going to end this discussion with you because you're incapable of having a rational discussion. And then he goes, well, get on out of here. Get on out of my country. And then that was just it. But it was just kind of funny because all the Black Panthers and everybody else were laughing at them. And it was just kind of funny.
So, I mean, you brought up, I'm just going to take your rational word and try to make a transition out of it. But I think something that, regarding our podcast, we want to make sure that we're having some kind of discussion with people that are, not outside the realm of people you normally would listen to. This weekend, RIS is going to be happening in Canada. It's a very popular conference for those of you who don't know, called Reviving the Islamic Spirit. All kinds of scholars and big names from all over the world, they come and speak at our RIS. It's a pretty big deal in North America.
I thought it was called Revival and Sufism.
Probably.
That's what it stood for.
But
no?
Revival, Islamic
Are you
Spirit.
serious or joking?
No, I thought it was
They
for real.
usually-
Revival.
they do.
Islamic spirit, I think.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to be.
I was
Wait,
mistaken.
you really thought that, Maheen?
No, he didn't.
Oh,
just
I was
trying
gonna
to
He
say.
had a straight face. I felt.
Oh, okay.
I've actually been to RIS. So before those haters come after me, I was like, I support RIS. I've been there twice.
No, they got a couple selfies this year.
Yeah, they had Tawfiq Chaudhry when I was there. Y'all remember him?
I feel bad. You guys keep interrupting Sim in his point.
Anyway,
So go ahead.
Carry on,
So-
Sim.
our platform is different from other platforms in the sense we want to hear from different types of voices all around the world. We want to talk to people who normally don't get a platform. We learn as individuals. We learn from many different types of people. There's people who try to label the Mad Mamluks as Jordan Peterson supporters or so-and-so supporters. The reality is that we not only listen to Jordan Peterson, but we listen to homos like Glenn Greenwald. They're totally cool with us in terms of just the knowledge that they bring. We're not aboard their lifestyle or anything. It's not like we're not into that thing, but in terms of knowledge and what we're trying to gain, we try to learn from everyone. and we don't care about just because you happen to disagree with some aspects of something. We want to be able to have an unbiased discussion and try to get to the bottom of facts and have a discussion without emotions being tied to it. You know, when people are all of a sudden getting upset about things that are legitimate questions that are happening in everyone's minds, and then people bring in their emotions as a hostage and say like, hey, you come into this territory and all of a sudden I'm going to explode on you, and then that just kills the discussion.
Yeah, people want you, because Muslims generally politically fall to the left wing. They expect everything that you talk about has to be left wing, or right wing, or whatever the case is. And we don't align with anybody. Islam is far greater than right wing and left wing and Democrats and Republicans, and Islam is far greater than that. If it happens to be that you completely hate Republicans and we happen to say something that sounds Republicanish to you, that's not our intent. We don't align with anyone. It happens to be that Islam has the Democrats have something that may have some overlap with Islam, or a sentiment towards Islam, and same with the Republicans. But it doesn't mean that we're out here to choose sides. You know what I'm saying? That's not.
Well, me and Mahin are registered Republicans, so speak for yourself.
Good for you.
What's
No,
the
good
matter
for
with you?
You could do whatever you want with your life, but I'm just saying.
It's funny.
You just lost
I think Sid brought a good point,
people
though.
just turned off this channel because of that ridiculous statement you just made.
No, but
Cool.
that's what we're talking about. They shouldn't turn it off.
I think Sim brought a good point though for a minute though.
They shouldn't turn it off if he is.
Sim will tell you himself. I have criticized Jordan Peterson in private. I've been even talking to Sim. I say, he says some good things, but I feel like sometimes he's just, he's too ambiguous for me sometimes,
He beats around the bush a lot. He's very intelligent, articulating his sentences and how he thinks really fast. But there's a lot of things that he over articulates when he's avoiding some things.
Okay, so let me give an actual criticism of his. So his use of anthropomorphism, which is the attribution of animal characteristics to humans. Now, this is something that's inherently alien to Muslims. Muslims don't agree with that notion. I don't know, Shaykh Amir, you could probably elaborate more in the Quran, but is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala attributing characteristics of animals to humans in the Quran off the top of your head?
Meaning that is he trying to draw a similarity
between us and animals, and
only when he's speaking when humans act negatively, when he's belittling an action that we're doing.
But Jordan Peterson is talking about it on a biological level.
Yeah.
So
The
this is
evolutionary
completely
level?
on an evolutionary level that we're all, even whether we're mammals or not. I mean, it doesn't matter to him.
Yeah,
he's
talks
talking about it on a
crabs.
biological level that we're the same. And
So what I think
this is something that as Muslims we can never accept. If you look at the first chapter of 12 Rules of Life, it's all talking about anthropomorphism, and this is something that completely different. But that doesn't negate all the different things that he all the different arguments he brings that make you think differently and help you have a much more balanced approach on events or situations in life.
He breaks things down very, very well. He breaks them down very, very well, especially when he was talking about free speech and everything that he faced in Canada. And that's when he got really popular. I've been listening to all the podcasts.
So I think the reason why he's popular is because, look, he is somewhat of a conservative person from a religious perspective in some ways, right? And so some of those points that he brings up, we can say, hey, that makes sense to us, right? Yeah. But then like Sim said, there's certain things that he goes off the chart with, that we don't believe in. And I think the point he just brought up was he tries to draw parallels from the way animals interact with each other in their circles and compare that to the way humans behave in their own circles, right? And I think it's I think it's a far jump. But for him, he'll do things like that. And one of my criticisms is, for example, I think he's a little too ambiguous about what he believes in terms of how he defines God himself. Even though he's a big advocate of using religious morality, I think he's a bit ambiguous about what
Very ambiguous.
Well, that's very common with modern day Christianity.
No, but see, the thing with him is,
I disagree. I mean, if you ask somebody who is God, they'll say Jesus, right? And then he'll say, well, what does Jesus really mean, right?
And with Jordan, you're right in the sense that Jordan doesn't do it because
it's self-interpreted.
There's a large base that he has that he'll lose credibility with.
Yeah.
because there's a lot of atheists out there who just will refuse to recognize anything that's coming from him because he's speaking from a religious point of view, and he doesn't want to pigeonhole. He doesn't want to pigeonhole himself.
Did you listen to his interview with Dr. Oz?
No.
So he said something really crazy on that one. He calls like this, and this is the Christians. They have this like really like weird aspect of describing prophets. They attribute like all kinds of so he describes Ibrahim alayhis salam as the kid just lived in his dad's basement for 80 years playing video games.
Yeah,
and his dad's like, you need to get out and like actually do something with your life.
Clean your room.
He used that in a different podcast too.
Yeah,
he used that same example. But
Yeah,
Mort, I agree with you, man. When it's his time to shine to talk about his creed and his belief, he beats around the bush, and that for me, I get it. For me, I really don't care because I derive other benefits from him.
I agree, and I think part of the spirit of this is that, and this is also in terms of how we
love listening to him.
No, but just because we brought up Jordan Peterson, he was one of those people that RIS invited last year, and some people threw a fit about it, and he got kicked out. And I thought that was a wasted opportunity because this person has, a lot of, things to bring onto the table, and there's a lot of discussion to be had.
Yeah.
And now what you've done is brought a big echo chamber together, and it's really there's nothing really innovative in these conferences anymore. I'm not speaking about RIS specifically, but there's no real new idea, new way of looking at things, and you're not benefiting anyone.
But so much. Yeah, I get that, and there's a lot of backlash they may get from that from just a small group of people. A lot of people generally that probably come to that event are not really going to care if Jordan Peterson came or not. But you mentioned something about echo chamber, right?
Right.
Now people can accuse Mad Mamluks of being an echo chamber. How are we not an echo chamber?
Because we invite people who think differently.
Okay, but why don't we invite feminists and atheists and stuff?
Oh, they already have their own platform.
Maheen, what do you think? How come
because we're misogynists?
I think we're an echo chamber to an extent.
So that's something that I want to mention too.
There's no such thing as pure unbiased. There's always going to be, and I don't believe in this idea of you have to bring everyone to the table. I believe in making a production that is entertaining to people and that people are coming to learn from, and entertaining, and you're learning something.
Look. Here's the thing: if you're gonna cater to everybody, you're not gonna have any authentic, organic subscribers, right? Yeah. People who listen to us, they generally like what we have to say, and if we keep changing our positions based on who comes on, and we have to cater to certain people, or I feel like that we're losing our sense of identity.
How many times do people email us or say in the comments, Mort, that, oh, you should have a white guy on, or you should have a black guy on, or you should have a girl on? And it's never ending. My thing is when I talk to any other race, I don't even think about their race.
Yeah, I'm not looking
I'm thinking about what ideas they're talking about, what's coming out of that person's mouth.
And you don't have to bring people on of ideas who you completely disagree with.
No,
maybe
one thing I want to say though. Just one thing I want to say though. I don't think there's ever been a moment where Sim has announced a guest to any one of us and we're like, hey, what's the color of his skin? We've never done that. Literally, where's the guy from?
We got to bring more black people on. We got to bring. Yeah. No, we don't even think like that. Our whole focus or paradigm is about what can we benefit? How can we benefit from this person's presence? And how can we engage with them? We'll look at their entertainability factor, or how well they can actually deliver their message.
It's not even about.
We'll look at that, but in terms of race or gender or some other.
It's all about ideas, dude. What it comes down to is ideas and thoughts of people. What makes them? The spectrum is so huge when it comes to ideas. Like for me, sometimes when we have a guest, sometimes I wonder, number one, what can I learn from this person? Number two, in this world of ideas, what does he have that's going unknown in this world? This is somebody that deserves a platform because these ideas need to be dispersed. This person articulates it very well. The reason why I brought up the whole echo chamber thing is this, and Mort, you made the connection there, I think, is number one, the notion of you have to cater to everybody, which I disagree with. And number two, a criticism may be that you're just an echo chamber. Now, how are these two linked together? The first thing is the idea that something is an echo chamber, I completely disagree with in the first place, is because us as human beings, we're going to promote anything that we love, right? And why would I want to invite somebody that I completely disagree with, and you want me to be constantly changing because you're claiming that I'm an echo chamber? No, we're going to stay static. We're not going to change our ideas.
Yeah.
Right? We believe, and the reason why I believe that, there's objective truths. There's absolute truths that we believe in, and if somebody is not helping that objective truth and just going to waste our time, we don't have to invite them on.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
why do we have to invite everybody on that we disagree with? No, we
I-
know the
I agree.
ideas of people that we disagree with, and we're going to challenge those ideas, but they don't have to be present. Who said they have to
So
be
I
present?
think what it comes down to, Ahmed, is that there's certain areas in which we have room for disagreement, right?
Yeah.
And we don't mind bringing people on for that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to bring somebody on that's challenging something that is completely opposed to what we stand for.
Yeah. Something that's
Right.
antithetical to Islam.
The idea
Why would I
is
want to
that-
promote that?
Well,
Right.
not necessarily that. The idea is that we have this for a certain purpose, and this is not a debate platform, right? It's really not a debate.
Exactly.
If
It's
that
not.
were the case, I would bring on atheist or murtadeen or gay Muslims or whatever we're gonna call it. We'd bring them on.
The Muhammad
and
hijabs and the Ali Dawas are for that, and they're taking
yeah,
care of that
no,
situation
let
real
them
well.
do that. I think what this is mainly, at least in my mind, and Sim maybe have his own opinion about this, but I choose to speak to Muslims like me who are practicing, who have a mainstream approach, but we're dealing with day-to-day affairs, right?
Yeah.
And we see things, and we're engaged. We're recognizing that there are ulama in the world. They have certain opinions. There's certain problems that are going on. How do we relate to them? How do we deal with them? And perhaps share my experience as growing up as a youth in America and say, hey, how did we come out of it alive? How did we come out of all this with our religion intact? I'm not the best person, but alhamdulillah, I still believe in Allah. And I feel like that's a big thing today. A lot of people are becoming murtadeen, and it's easy for them because there's no, they really didn't have a solid network. And alhamdulillah, what we were able to do, I'm not sure about Maheen, but in Chicago, for us, me, Sim, and Amir, and I think a lot of other people can testify to this. We had a strong network of people that we would hang out with. I mean, even if you didn't show up to the mosque for a long time, right? People would still check on you. We would still engage with each other. We would still, no one ever shunned anybody, right? And I think that idea that it got us through. Like we have this root that we have as a Muslims, and I think that has been that is lost today because people are so confused at what it means. How do you rectify being a Muslim in 2018? And I think we're here to try to show them that it's possible. It is completely. Islam is not something that you have to that is incompatible. In 2018.
Yeah.
So something that was also lost on us when we were growing up was that we thought one group or one sheikh had the truth, and that person will, because they made A, B, and C, and then the natural conclusions were D, and so on. We thought everything else that they say is going to be perfectly logical and in line with the religion, and we found out that was not the case, and we found out ridiculous mistakes were being made, and and then you kind of have like a self-reflection period, and you realize like, okay, well, maybe nobody has every single answer for you in the religion, but a lot of people have a lot of answers, and they have a lot of things that they can help you out with in your life. And just because you disagree with them on a few points doesn't mean that you discard all the benefit that you gain from them.
Yeah.
And that's something that we also want to pass on. And there's many different guests throughout our podcast that we just simply don't see eye to eye on many different things. And but we still end up keeping brotherhood. We have friendly disagreement, but we move on past it. And I think that's the way forward for the Muslim Ummah. In order for us to kind of get out of the rut we're in, we have to learn from each other and get the best ideas and move forward.
Best ideas. Key.
The three of you guys were here for the beginning of the podcast, right? So I wanted to know, has your view of who you bring on changed? How has it evolved? Because I wasn't there for the very beginning. I was a listener like these guys on the YouTube chat.
I think in the beginning we wanted to get big
Anybody?
names, but now I realize like after getting the big names, it's just that they're just so limited, they're so restricted in what they can say, and I don't blame them for that. That's a responsibility that they carry, that they have. They're the link for many Muslims to Iman. Like if they say something that can be a little bit controversial, it can cause a lot of Muslims to, question their faith or something worse. So they have a level of responsibility and they're held to that standard. And I'm not hating on them, but our platform is for engagement and being able to ruffle feathers if you need to. You have to be able to piss people off and be comfortable with it.
It's not even about piss people off. I know what you're trying to say, but it's more about the status quo in the circumstances that we're living in. We have to be able to challenge that, to let people know what's beneath the surface, right?
Yeah.
It's not just what you see. There's a lot that's beneath that surface. Some individuals may even come up to me.
I mean, look. When I'm talking about piss people off, I'm talking about like just how we were just using the word kuffar earlier in this episode, right?
Yeah.
A lot of Muslim platforms will,
They
they're
shun to use
terrified
the
of that
word.
word. They're scared. They will never use kuffar. It's non-Muslims all the way. That's the only word. That's the only acceptable word. But we use
Hey.
kuffar just.
Somebody did actually ask that question on an email once, so we might as well.
Yeah.
Since the alim is here, the alim Rabbani.
But before even that, please hold on to what you're going to say.
All right.
Is that many people come to me and say, "Man, you got to get people on with more opposing views, right? Or else you're not just." Like for me, I can't even put those two together. I can't just because I don't bring on people that I'm going to debate with and disagree with, that means I'm not fair, or that means we're not fair. Like I don't even find the connection between that. Right? If you want to see debates, you can watch all the way from the 70s.
Where's the fairness where they don't invite so many of our guests that have come on our show, brothers like Bassam and so many other brothers who Daniel. They don't get a platform. Where's the fairness in that? Where's the objective truth in all of those discussions? That's horse crap. Those people who message you that, they're so full of it because those people would never say the same stuff to the same places where they consume their knowledge from.
Yeah.
They never say, hey, why don't you invite a guy like Bassam or a guy like who's that brother from Australia?
Uthman Badr.
Uthman Badr,
Yeah.
And
we
they don't
don't
invite
care.
them.
No,
It's all about what the vision they have and the narrative that they're trying to build and the way they want to project Muslims to be in the West. That's all that matters to them.
Yeah, and you know what? For me personally, I don't even mind and I don't care because they want a certain group of people on to promote whatever they want to promote their idea. That's fine. Whether they're weak ideas or strong ideas, I don't mind. But for us, if we have a certain idea, we have a certain goal of making Muslims comfortable in their skin by realizing, the reality around them. We don't have to bring on opposing ideas because that's, where people want to bring in the debate type of entertainment, right? And the second thing is, do we consider ourselves an entertainment channel, or is it happens to be entertaining?
No, I think.
Do you see this as Mad Mamluks as an entertaining?
I think it's a hybrid.
Podcast?
There's no way. If it was entertainment only, then we wouldn't be talking about some. We would be talking about the Bears becoming division championships this week.
Hell yeah, the
Bears.
Can you sing the Bear Down song really quick?
No, but let's.
But I want people to understand. I want people to understand
this
this point is that similar minds will always get together and they're going to promote something, right?
Yeah.
If somebody wants to promote something, they can do it. But with us, we want to make sure, like Mort was saying in 2018, how possible and how easy it is and how smooth of a transition it is to be a Muslim in 2018. Yeah, circumstances are different, but there's a notion where people are very, very embarrassed about Islam, where they feel that Islam is not, relevant to our time. No, we're making it relevant, but how we make it relevant is we have to dig deep into the ideas that are around us, right? And we have to make sense of it for people. And I think that's what we're here for,
And I think we bring some more opposing views of different from the opposite end of the spectrum. I know some people. For those who in the know, they know about the Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, Sam Harris. That whole area of discussion is called the intellectual dark web, and I think we're kind of formed our own, or we coincidentally just through the circles we ended up joining in discussion through the podcast, we have our own dark web, I guess. I guess we have people who just think differently from the way major Muslim institutions want Muslims to think. They want
Oh,
you
like
know-
your dark passenger, huh? Dark web, dark
Stop it.
passenger.
Stop
I
it.
made the connection,
Shh,
buddy.
I should never have talked about that.
I don't know what dark passenger
I don't know
is,
why
but
I talked
I'm not
about
gonna know. I don't
He
want to.
won't. He won't leave me alone since then. All he does is bring it up.
Okay, so the second thing is, look, some people say that you guys don't push back when you have a guest.
No, wait
That's
a
what I
minute.
get a
wait,
lot.
wait, no, wait. One of the reasons why I am disliked is because I push a view that people don't want to hear.
Yeah, no, but we don't challenge guests.
No, I'm talking about when we have a
No,
guest
but
in
I mean,
studio.
I think Mort does.
I challenged a few
little
on the
bit,
show.
but
What if I was to say that, hey, who cares if you don't push back? Well, like, look, think
that's,
of my,
that's what I think.
think
I
of my
think,
bird's eye. Think of the bird's eye view over the podcast, right? We have a guest, and let's say that we just lightly talk about it. We lightly disagree, or we try to disagree with asking questions. We don't say I disagree with you.
There
Like-
are people I wish that we did push back on, and there are people I am completely fine with not pushing back on because I felt like it would just be detracting because the person is in a flow and you're ruining their flow in trying to break things down. And I feel like that kind of discussion could be had with someone else where you're kind of when you have someone like a neuroscientist on, like Mohammed Gilan, and you're talking about things that are, things that require reading, and there's some words being thrown around, philosophical words that I don't expect most people to understand. And do I have to start breaking things down in terms of what philosophy is and how philosophy permeates through society
you just let it
and how it
flow.
influences? No, you
just let it flow.
You let it flow. So
But I look at it differently. For me, I look at it like if we have a guest that comes in studio, especially if they're out of town, we have a type of, hospitality. And some of that hospitality is sometimes just let the person talk, man, whether you agree or disagree. Like, I just don't like this whole notion that if somebody says something you disagree, oh, you didn't do your job because you didn't push back. For me, I don't sometimes feel a need to push back. I just want to listen to what the person has to say.
So I think the thing is this.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
If it is acceptable within Islam for them to say what they're saying, there's no reason to push back. Because part of the one of the reasons of this platform as well too is that to give people a voice as well. I mean, I don't have to push back on everything because we can have next week another guest that will maybe have a different view, opposing view to him.
Yeah.
Right. As long as not everything demands a response.
do
right.
you guys feel here's what, for listeners who don't know what we're talking about, there's an elephant in the room that many people brought up with, and they said, yeah, Shaykh Amir, you are not the elephant I'm talking about.
Yeah, you're the big elephant.
Neither. So the interview that we had with Umar Muzaffar after his expose of
Name
Omar Ali
drop.
Khan, that's when a lot of people said that Mad Mamluks, you didn't push back, and I think that one interview, I think we could have pushed back more, and we failed. I think we did.
We failed you guys.
I think we did.
Sorry.
I don't even think it's a fail. Like for me, I don't like the whole. Maybe you guys can convince me. I don't like the idea of
I think you guys fell in
pushback.
love with him.
No, I don't like the idea of pushback. Like, what does that even mean?
I don't agree with the Omar Muzaffar. Like, we didn't get put. The thing that people need to understand is that we record in Sim's house, basically, right? So we are hosting guests. They are
exactly.
guests, right? We're not going to be like douchebags to them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know,
feeding them pizza.
but he understood. He said, like, everything's on the table. Like
Yeah.
he wasn't going to take anything personally. You know what I'm saying? So I think
I don't know
gotta
what
bring
we
people
could have
like
said
me
to
on
push
those
back, to be
episodes.
honest.
And
I know that episode you got to
looking
bring
back,
like people
yeah.
who are a-holes like me on that show. I mean, because then I can say something.
People were mad because what happened was people were mad. They're like, Maheen, you're friends with Muzaffar, so that's why you didn't push back.
No,
but
for
I was like,
me-
there's nothing to push
Maheen is
back
looking
for.
for a second wife. That's why he's cool with
Like
him.
for me, if you guys remember, I said to him this. I said, all I want, and this is all I wanted out of that conversation. Is it possible that if you, as a professor, anybody that's a professor, if somebody comes and they talk to them, it's very, very simple. It's from the opposite gender, because we were talking about Muslims and interaction and all that.
Mort,
Is it possible for them?
you weren't part of that interview, and I think
He
you were
wasn't.
you were a little bit unhappy with the way that interview went.
Yeah. I was really unhappy. I think I texted you.
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened? What happened?
What did you not
I
like
felt like
about
you
it?
guys got caught like a deer in the headlight. Like I was like, what happened, dude?
I think people fell in love with him in this room.
Oh well.
I really
mean,
love the
it
guy,
happens.
so I didn't fall in love with him. I really loved him.
Of course, you found your wife.
Oh
right?
really?
Yeah, I mean, he
hooked
helped
you guys
No,
up?
no. Oh,
no,
wait.
no. He spoke at my kid's
Oh, he's
akika.
for yeah.
Oh. I thought
Yeah.
I didn't know
I
he hooked
had
you guys
the
up.
one that I
There's
came
some
to.
kind of connection.
There was some
was-
connection happening.
He was my emergency akika speaker because Ubaydullah Evans was late.
Wait, was this the one that I came to at OPP?
No, my first daughter. My first
Oh,
daughter is
okay.
Hadia, who's now like the 5-year-old troll.
Your favorite one, basically.
His favorites. He doesn't do favorites.
She's my favorite.
But like, you see, for me, look, when we were talking to Omar Muzaffar, I had mentioned something to him, and that's the only thing I wanted out of this because the whole
Sheikh
Mac
Amir,
thing
I
was
wasn't
happening.
expecting you to be mean to him because you
You're a
don't
nice
have
guy.
a mean
Amir.
you don't have a mean bone in your body.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
You're
don't-
too
I've
nice.
never
I'm
seen
expecting-
interview my
I'm
wife, and
expecting
she'll tell you
them
how mean I am.
and
dude.
I-
Don't
and like
worry.
Maheen to
Here's
say
my
something
wife,
back.
if you're
Oh, so
watching,
you have a
send
private
them a
face.
message and let them know.
You have a
Yes.
private face, huh?
Yes, of course. We all have multiple
me.
faces. We're all two faces or three faces, right?
Are you two faces, Amir?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, look, I've known you my whole life, and you've never been mean to anybody.
No, I've been mean to a lot of people. Don't worry.
Dude,
Why-
you're the kind of
He
guy
hasn't
to
been mean to
apologize to
anyone.
me
You
for not
should
calling me
just
back
interview.
on time.
You
He's such
guys
a
should just
terrible liar.
interview Mrs. You guys should interview Mrs. Amir Saeed and tell her how mean I am.
No,
Oh, yeah?
no.
She's
Listen,
watching right now.
everybody's different
Why don't
with
you
their
leave some
with their
stuff
spouses, right? You can't count
In the
that.
comments,
Like,
woman.
Spouses
Some stuff
can
like,
make
see
you
how mean
crazy.
I am? I just call her woman.
Woman.
Yeah,
See?
but it's because she doesn't listen to the podcast. You know, if she was listening.
No, he-
you would
he
be like,
said she's,
you would
listening
be
live
so
right now.
hush-hush about it
She should
because you
be
don't want to hurt her
listening live.
feelings. I know you, Amir. You can't. Look,
Oh,
look, just
boy.
it's not. There is
Guys,
nothing wrong with
I
that.
think you guys are forgetting
So
we're all human
anyway,
beings.
okay, let's get back to it. So, do we have an intellectual dark web among Muslims kind of happening with the Mad Mamluks, where we have,
I hope we can start that. I mean, I think it would be
Do you-
really
do you
cool to
I
have.
think those people are out there. Maybe he doesn't like me throwing that name out there, but Daniel Hakika Jew is one of those people that be potentially on that.
no, but I'm like, there's people
It's
like Kareem
it's not just one
Sirajuddin,
person.
and there's
Yeah, there's many
I mean,
people.
it's not just one person. It's a thought process. It's a mentality. It's the way you view the world around you, right? It's not
Yeah.
in black and whites. It's not in just based on what some sect is telling you or what some alim is telling you. It's really putting aside your emotions and accurately and logically looking at it through the
But
through the
you
lens.
know what? The
of-
thing is, more even all those other people will be willing to engage with us. The people who don't engage with us, they're the liberals, and they have their own. And I'm not talking about liberals in the sense that they're devoid of Islam. I'm talking about the people who want a certain image of Islam being portrayed to the West, and where we're nothing scary,
Name
and
drop
there's
time,
nothing.
drop some names. Who are some Muslim liberals? I'm
Well,
joking. Don't.
So all we're talking about is people who have excluded, and I want to say specifically the British brothers like Hamza Sources, who's been completely excluded from any kind of events in North America because of what? Nothing. They just
What did he do? He's so like.
he didn't do anything.
he doesn't
That's what I'm
talk about
saying.
anything
They don't
controversial.
invite Muhammad Hijab. They don't invite anyone.
what about the other guy?
No, here's the thing. He triggers. This is how like liberals operate. They want to be so acceptable to the Christians and the Western
kuffar,
society that they don't want. They feel like because his arguments are so strong, he might upset them. That's why Zakir Naik was never invited, hardly ever invited. Even
Well, I think he's banned.
Even
Yeah,
after
invited
he's
in
banned
the
Banned
Banned
now,
ones,
right?
basically.
From Canada.
I think
well,
banned.
it doesn't matter.
He's an Indian terrorist.
They didn't like him.
Yeah.
It's- Why was he ever invited to Islam when we were young? No.
No, he came to like IFS and places.
No.
Like that, but yeah, that was in the late
Oh,
IFS at a
90s.
conference?
No, just like
No,
to
Oh, okay.
give khutbah and stuff.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that-
As of recent, yeah.
why is it that we just found out about Raja? The guy is a brilliant guy, and alhamdulillah, we met him through, who was it?
Ahmed
Sheikh.
Ahmed Sheikh. And how come a talented young man like that is just being hidden away in the East Coast, and none of these Muslim organizations are giving him a platform, and all he's talking about is Palestinian rights.
He's not even going to AMP, as far as I know. Like the American Muslim Palestine conference that happens, right?
Really?
There's a definite bias that is happening with Muslim platforms all across the world, and you are deluding yourself if you think that there is that they're trying to bring all sides to the table. It's not.
What
It's
I
only
think
the-
is happening
sides
is that there's a certain agenda.
the face that is presentable to the West is invited to the table. That's it.
Yeah, and my problem is, and unfortunately, this is why I always come back to this point, is that unfortunately it is left leaning, and I because of that, I despise what the left is doing in terms of, I mean, the way that they're manipulating Muslims, right? And I cannot stand the fact that it's not that I believe in the right wing or rights are better than lefts. No, I just feel like that the left is setting this like perfect mousetrap for Muslims. They're putting a little bait there, and the Muslims are coming. Oh, they love us, they want us, they're fighting for us. And then right when you grab that cheese, that thing's gonna come down like the hammer on you, dude. Right? And now you're stuck in this trap. And now, if you, no matter what you say, the answer you give them is wrong unless you give them the answer they want to hear. And if you don't give them the answer they want to hear, then they're going to shun you. They're going to boycott you. They're going to label you with all these things. I mean, there's no winning with them. Yeah. And the left is known for that. They will contact your employers, your school, where you're going to school, your local politicians, your mosque that you go to. They will attack you from every angle if you don't conform to their views. And my problem is we should not be dependent on anybody like that. You are a Muslim. You have a mind of your own. You have a prescribed way of life. You can choose what issues you want to vocalize your support for and what you want to vocalize your opposition for. You don't need to belong to any group. And all I'm asking is that Muslims use their mind more than their emotions. Don't fear stuff. You know, one of the biggest ways that people encourage people to make or to motivate them into action is by fear, right? You have no one to fear but Allah. At the end of the day, I'm telling you this. People worry about things that will never really happen. Right? They're not going to burn you at the stake. They're not going to do drive-bys on you. I mean, generally, sure, bad things happen, but generally, no, you're pretty. I mean, Allah will take care of your affairs. Put your trust in Him. Believe what you say you believe, and then make your decisions based on that. Use logic, not your emotions.
No, brother, that's realness. And I'm glad you mentioned that. A lot of people think they're too paranoid. They think something's going to happen to them based on whatever they're reading, and they try to apply it and you know, as if it's a possibility every day. I know a brother that's always following the news. He's always following Fox News and CNN, and he's always talking about, oh man, you know, it's so hard, it's so nerve-wracking to go to stores now, especially like Walmart. Was later at night, I was like, dude, what are you afraid of? He's like, man, these Trump supporters, man, they're so unpredictable. And I was like, man, I think you're overthinking it, dude. You're reading so much, you know, and you're sheltering yourself, and you think that it can happen to you any moment, and that's not the case. And obviously, the second thing is you have to put your trust in Allah. And let me just add on to something that you said more, man. I'm glad you had that little moment of realness. Is even if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows something to happen to you, you just have to roll with the punches and know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided it for you. You know, because what you said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to take care of you, right? I've met people recently within the past few weeks, young, you know, like youth. They say, why am I going through this? And we always say, oh, Allah's always going to take care of you. Why am I going through this hardship? And Allah's always going to take care of you. And there's a primary way of understanding that, and there's many other ways of understanding that. What that means is you have to have trust in Allah to take care of you, meaning that whatever it is that He's putting you through, it's all happening with His permission, so fear not.
I don't
right?
know. What does this have to do with?
Because Mort just said Allah's going to take care of you.
Oh, okay.
For Muslims, you have to be strong. You have to be confident, understand that, listen, whatever it is that you believe in, you have to stick to that. That's what's been prescribed for you. That's why I'm mentioning this.
Okay.
Right? But just to add on to that, is He said something that Allah's always going to take care of you. And I hear a lot of young people saying today, how is Allah taking care of us when this is happening to us? What does that mean? Right? I thought Allah was supposed to take care of us. Right? It's just another thing to put in our toolkit of understanding.
Yeah.
Is that everything happens with the permission of Allah. Right? That doesn't mean He's not taking care of you. The more Allah tests you, that means that He loves you more. Right?
Yeah.
So it's just, I'm just glad he mentioned that, because it kind of brought things in perspective on this.
And I just want to reiterate or kind of clarify a point regarding the intellectual dark web, because the intellectual dark web has many different characters like Ayan Hirsi Ali and things like that. And I'm not attributing any of our guests to this. It's in the sense that these people are excluded out of the left's discussion, so they kind of made their own discussion platform where they all just go on their own media platform. You know, Eric Weinstein and Brett Weinstein, and them.
There's even some feminists, and I forgot her name.
what's that guy you used to listen to? Maheen,
Ruben?
Ruben.
Yeah.
So they're
Ben
all part of
Shapiro.
this dark web that they all just visit each other's show, and they don't agree with each other on everything, but they're constantly on each other's shows and elevating each other's platforms, right? And I think that's what we're kind of doing as well, where we're finding all these talented people who are hidden in our communities who just have been left out of the discussion, and we're kind of pulling them out from there and benefiting from them. In a sense, right?
it does affect us too, man. There's so many guests, like Dr. Muhammad Ghilan. I've learned so much from him. But even Sim, remember, just on a comedic note. Do you remember Sim after having a few interviews with people? I can't remember who it was or just podcast. It's like, man, I want to become Katani now.
Oh,
Remember
that
Sim went through the
episode
phase?
didn't even air.
That episode didn't air, so
didn't even air.
The listeners won't know about it.
Yeah,
because
but I'm just
the
saying.
quality was so bad. Well,
But Sim, there was a phase
yeah.
where Sim wanted to become a part of a tariqa. He's like, man, I gotta get myself.
See?
Knowing Sim growing up with him,
Yeah,
is that
he
that
was-
something?
No way. Tariqas, no way.
I
But
can't.
no, I'm saying that from the
s-
past when you were
um,
younger,
Yeah.
I could never imagine you like that.
Well-
Mort on the other hand, was a part of a tariqa. That's why he's kind of like a
dude.
Renaissance man. Mort,
He has some
sorry, Mort, was
stories.
no one supposed to know this?
No, I've
about
said it
Michigan.
before.
You
I've
come
been-
from a rich background,
said
brother.
it
You come
before.
from a rich background. Mort went through so many different types of people and groups he visited.
Yeah.
That's why what he says is valuable, because he's been through all types of groups, man, and now he just came out through a finished product. And you needed those experiences, bro. You know what I'm saying? You needed to be a part of all those so you could speak on the behalf and see what was happening. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, so somebody's asking me in text to define what I mean by liberal. And I think it's kind
Or
of important.
left. Yeah, the left.
Yeah, the left, right? So for me, the left in America is a
Well,
I don't know about-
leftist Muslims. Just how
yeah. Well, no, I want to talk about the left in general because leftist Muslims are still kind of finding their way in what they really believe, right? It's just, I think left in general in America, they have some good qualities. Let me put it to you this way: so fiscally, they may be, they may have noble causes, like they want to donate for people and they want to raise funds for people and stuff like that. But morally, they are morally bankrupt in general. They're pro LGBT. They're pro like a sexual revolution. They're pro like abortion. They're pro basically whatever makes them feel good about themselves is okay. That is what should be law, not what is good for society, but what is good for individuals. And ultimately, that leads to a breakdown.
Yeah.
Right? They're okay with having transgender bathrooms in kindergarten. They're
Authority
okay
shouldn't
with
have the right
giving
to tell you what's right and
people
wrong.
hormone blockers when they're going through puberty to decide if they want to be male or female. Right? These kinds of things are poisonous when we talk about how they relate to the way we're raising our children. Right? If you grow up around the left and cater to that, they're going to also influence your children to say, hey, you know what? I'm not sure if I want to be a boy or a girl. Can you give me hormone blockers until I hit 18? I mean, I would lose my mind if that happened, right? I mean, stuff like that happens, right? And I feel like as a Muslim, generally what they call for, I'm saying in general, most of the issues they fight for on a moral level, right, do not align with me, right? It's completely, I mean, there are certain things I do endorse for them. Like I'm not I'm not against the equality. I'm not against the appreciation and the embracing of other cultures. That's very warm of the left. I understand that.
healthcare.
But yeah, I mean, definitely, absolutely. Social welfare, these are important things the left brings, right? And we've incorporated them within America, like Medicare, Medicaid, all the, government assistance, all these things we incorporate because of socialist ideas or left-leaning ideas. That's fine. But I think at a moral level, I mean, meaning raising a child under leftist values, if I were to completely embrace that and move and align myself with that, it is very dangerous, I believe, for maintaining a Muslim identity in 2018 and beyond. It threatens that. It really does.
And you bring up a very awesome point. We don't, as Muslims, think that we should be a part of one specific leaning of right or left. That's what we're all discussing here, right? Because the idea is, hey, you're a leftist, you shouldn't be, or you're a liberal, you shouldn't be thinking like that. But Islam transcends all of that, right?
I think one of the brothers on the chat, I think the vibe I'm getting is he himself isn't affiliating with left or right. It's like right now, I'm supporting the left because of this circumstance, right? But in general, he's like, no one's aligned. There's no like you're not you're not like the guy for the left. There are people like that.
People automatically assume that just because you're criticizing the left, that you're all on board with the right, and that's not.
That's
And
unfair.
that's not what we're saying either.
That's unfair to make that assumption.
What we've
yeah.
always, since day one of the podcast, have always said, be aligned with the truth. Get rid of your attachments to different types of ideas and little groups and things like that, and try to get your truth from Islam and what how the reality fits in to how Islam is actually explaining what the world is around you.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone's asking me, look, what about the right? Well, I think the right, their dangers apparent. They're bigoted in many cases. They want to literally ban you. I feel like
they've sold the election process to the highest bidder as well.
Yeah, and not only that, the right wing thrives on bigotry these days, right? It's completely about, either you're with us or against us. They're totally intolerant of people who are different than them. They're very they're adamant about extinguishing anything else other than their views, right? And I'm not denying the right has also evil, but I feel like that is normal for me. I have no problem with somebody who hates everything about me, as long as they don't discriminate against me.
Yeah.
At least the right's not trying to change me, right? They just say, hey, openly, I don't like what you believe in, and I don't like anything about you, and I'm cool with that. I'm confident enough in my belief to have that. And the other thing is, we have to be very important is that the issue that we talk about, it should be under the eyes and the lens of Islam, right? I mean, meaning what is good for my deen, or for the deen of our future generation, right? Now, the idea of having to align with whoever is supporting Muslims at any time, I don't agree with that, and I'll tell you why. For numerous reasons, but there's a very simple thing. In Islam, we have a concept that you cannot unite with people upon batil, right? If they are calling to falsehood, if they are literally inviting you to something which will destroy your akhirah, right? You have to be very careful, because now you are going to be held responsible for enabling that group, right? You have to, are you willing to stand in front of Allah and say, listen, Muslims have began adopting homosexuality because of this movement, began adopting or flirting with the idea that we need to change some parts of the Quran for 2018. Stuff like this, that is it's not far-fetched. This is real. These are real.
It's happening right now. It's happening right now.
Yeah, these are real conversations that are happening among these leftist progressive circles right now.
Yeah,
right.
Eliminate verses from the Quran. Take this out. Why is Allah only speaking in a male tense? Why shouldn't it be in a feminine tense? That stuff has actually been happening for the past almost 10 years now, but now it's coming into fruition on a different level, right?
All right. So, any questions from the commenters in the chat?
The question that kept popping up was, have we had regrets about like episodes that we released?
Hell yeah.
That like, so more like I actually don't regret a single episode. But I think that's the beauty of the podcast. Like, we're all different. Like, Sim will be like, this episode was trash. Well, the episode was awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
I think usually when Sim says an episode's trash, I'm usually in agreement with him. But there have definitely been episodes that we have totally scrapped, and it's not all the time because they were bad episodes.
I think he's talking about aired episodes.
So here's one thing that I used to teach Sunday school, and God help the kids who learn from me anything. But anyway, whatever I did teach them was like they'd come back from a lecture or something, and they'd be the iman would be like just jumping out of them, and they'd say, Ustad, I don't know what they called me, but Brother Imran or whatever.
Ustad Sim.
It wasn't Ustad. I was lying. It was Brother Imran.
Brother Imran.
This was a great lecture from so and so scholar, and I would be like, okay, cool, go ahead and explain it. What did you learn? And then they would just be at a loss for it. And this is something that I learned when through the whole teaching experience, is that when kids are unable to explain what they learned, and they just kind of got like, you remember when you have those motivational speakers that come and speak to you at high school?
Yeah.
You just get just charged up, but you don't know what you're charged up about. You want to. It's like football players are, they're all like ready, like, oh, let's go beat the other team, and I don't know why I hate them so much, but I'm really mad, and that's what it is. Like, you go to some of these lectures where you get on this really iman high, and you don't even know why you got on that iman high, and that's what I'm talking about. Some of these podcasts where I just feel like we didn't give the listeners something that they need to hang on to, so that they can benefit for what are their lives. So it could be something small, but something they should be able to explain. Like, hey, this time on this episode of the Mad Mamluks, I learned this. And
So
it
what do you
doesn't have to be
propose, we
something
quiz them?
super profound or anything, but it could be something small that they should be able to explain to someone. Like, hey, I learned this on this episode.
Wait, do you want to quiz the listeners now?
No, I'm not talking about quizzing
No.
anyone, dude.
I'm just saying, you know, I mean,
You're trying to
people
troll me.
listen-
I'm not going to fall for it.
Can I use a bathroom real quick?
No,
No,
we're
I
over.
mean,
we're done.
yeah,
Almost
I
done,
mean,
yeah.
We're done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyone
I
else?
think we're
Did
good.
you see the news?
Well, I'm trying to. I have a question. So, what is the role
not
of
seen-
Muslims? Oh, go ahead.
So Jay Perez was asking about Sam Harris's trailer, and I did not see it, but I want to look. I'm looking forward to it. I want to read. I hate the guy, but I'm not hate him like hate in the truest sense. But I don't like his views. But I'd like to learn about what he's trying to say.
Instead of hating on him, why don't we all make dua that he becomes Muslim?
Sure.
On the
No, I mean,
on the chat group.
You go ahead
me
and start.
personally, I've told you guys many times before. I
Oh
listen
Allah,
to.
accept Sam Harris and make him Muslim.
Yeah,
inshallah.
Sam Harris, if you're listening, I hope
And
inshallah.
I
become
make
my
that
brother.
dua. Sheikh Amir, why don't you close off a dua with Sheikh Sam Harris?
Yeah, why don't you
Alright.
codify our
Okay,
dua
guys.
by
Now we're
action?
getting carried away. with
Guys,
this,
come on,
dude.
stop that.
No, I'm serious. No, I hope he becomes
No,
Muslim. But listen,
yeah.
but listen, I
You really want-
I think it's healthy for Muslims to actually listen.
What's
to,
the matter with you guys?
What do you mean? What's wrong?
This is one of
Why
the
would he keep
episodes.
the
Push
African
back,
guy?
Tim. Push back.
You don't make dua. Waste your breath on someone else and make dua.
Well,
for
how do you know? Allah guides who He wants. How do you know?
well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, spend
I-
your,
I
breath
agree
on,
with that.
spend
You
your
open
time
your
on someone
heart?
else. There's a billion other people in the world you can.
Okay, how about Donald
dua
Trump?
for? No.
Donald Trump would be a lot more useful if he became Muslim.
Yeah, you would.
And
What
how about like dua for our crown prince Mohammed ibn Salman?
I mean, we got Sinead O'Connor now. I mean, come on, dude.
Come on.
You know what I mean? Like, anyways, listen.
Anyways,
So
this is
listen,
getting weird.
Here's
Let's
the point. Listen, I think it's important for Muslims to engage with or to listen to what non-Muslims are saying, especially critiquers of Islam, because I mean, it's not for everybody, but for me, I actually do it on purpose because for two reasons. First of all, I want to know the angle in which they're coming from,
Yeah.
and I want to know the arguments that are present. And number two, I want to test myself and see how confident I am in my own beliefs, right? And now I get that may not be for everybody. Some people are on different levels of the deen and different understandings and conviction levels. But for me, I enjoy hearing that, and I actually
Yeah.
begin to, when I hear arguments or the position they're taking, my mind works in a way where, okay, I'm already I'm formulating my rebuttal, right? I'm taking on notes. I'm understanding where they're coming from, and that helps me approach somebody, or maybe when I have to discuss it with somebody else who may have a similar opinion, I'm able to formulate a nice and coherent rebuttal to that position.
Yeah, I used to like listen. Remember Robert Spencer
Oh.
and Pamela Geller? I used to actually like listening to them to know what their views were. I
But
actually
they're idiots.
used to
so.
take. No, they
Yeah,
are.
but Pamela
But I
Geller
used
is
to like
intellectual.
listening to
She's-
them because
Pamela
I'll
Geller-
tell you why.
yeah.
Because before I used to shut those people out, like, oh, they don't like Islam, I'm not going to listen to them. But when I started listening to them, it started striking my curiosity and be like, dude, I got to up my game for this type of understanding. I probably will never
Okay,
come across people.
I'm
They,
like
gonna-
they had a
I'm
very
gonna tell you
shallow,
something.
like.
it's very
wait,
shallow,
wait,
but
wait,
I
wait,
didn't
I'm
know
gonna tell you,
the
you might be new to
arguments
this.
and what the verses that whether they were misusing the verses or
Okay.
not. I wanted to
Yeah.
know the verses. It's not like I thought highly of them. Oh, they're intellectuals. No, I know they're
Yeah.
intellectually
Yeah, no,
bankrupt.
Ahmed, what I'm going to tell you is this, though.
Tell me
a lot,
more.
a lot of the verses they use and hadith, there have been rebuttals for days on this. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you can go to YouTube, blogs. I'm more concerned. I'm not concerned with the parroting moron who's just going to be parroting Allah's a moon god, right? That doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah.
That is intellectually beneath me. I'm not going to argue with people like that. Even like, I mean, there are Christian apologetics or apologists who have actually, condemned these kinds of people, right? And said, you're actually doing us a harm by doing that, right? I prefer to listen to people who make a rational argument.
Yeah,
against
I was
Islam.
talking like 2005 and 2006 when I used to like listen to them.
When you're in Mauritania taking a break
that was no
from
that
the
was
desert.
when I was
Yeah.
in Egypt. My
Yeah,
friend.
when he was,
okay.
All right, guys, let's
when he
wrap
was
this
getting to
baby
know
up.
what happened in 2001. He still didn't know what happened. He was in 2005.
He's like, what is this 9/11?
Yeah, what?
Mhm.
Yeah. Anyways,
Okay, cool. Let's
Wrap
talk
it up.
about marriage. halfourdean.com. Have you guys ever gone? Would you guys entertain the idea of going to halfourdean.com if you were in the market?
Halfardeen.com.
I would. If I wasn't married, I would definitely jump into it. Why not?
Heck yeah, man. It's a fantastic
I
website.
mean, now that I
It's-
know of what he does and how he does it, I think it'd be a great idea. I tell everybody right now, if you are single and I really mean it. If you don't have a spouse, hit it up.
If you are married, get divorced and use halfardeen.com. Just
What?
try it out.
Oh, no. Dude, you are like a jinn, dude. I'm telling you. You know why? Because you know what? They're the worst type of sihr is the one who breaks up the bain al-mar'a wa zawj, and you're the one who's trying to break up marriages. You must be like
I
watching.
mean,
sihr.
they're sponsoring us. Like, we got to help them get volume.
True.
Get creative.
He makes a good point.
Astaghfirullah, man. Anyways, man.
Astaghfirullah.
He cray.
Obviously, we're joking. Don't get divorced unless you really don't like him or her.
Even if you don't like him, stay married, man.
Where's my girl Zara?
Zara, where are you?
What's happening?
Halfardeen.com. Hit
Hey,
me up, Zara.
there wasn't the Zara though, but it wasn't me. There
My
was
wife-
another one today.
My wife is gonna
Are you
explode.
trolling yourself, Noreen?
What's
Are
this
you
whole
like
thing?
you're
What are
talking
you
to
guys
yourself to
talking
make
about? I
it?
saw that
Oh,
in
you-
the chat.
Dude.
Dude, I'm like stuck in midterms in school right
Sheikh
now.
Amir, you missed out on the whole Zara
Oh
experience.
my! Wow.
Oh, this is hilarious.
Oh, man.
We'll have to fill you in after the
Oh.
show. We'll wrap it up and fill
Yeah.
you in after.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go to
I know you got
wahidinvest.com for all your Sharia compliant investing needs. Wahid Invest is a platform. What's so funny?
I'm just reading the text.
Oh, okay.
Noreen's spazzing out in the text.
Oh, I just saw it. Oh,
We're on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, she's on YouTube. She's.
Hey, if you need a place to crash, you can come to my house.
Hey, I'm talking about a fictional woman, dude. Why is she so upset?
Sister, don't worry. He's just joking around.
Okay, so wahidinvest.com. Go there for all your halal investing needs. Mywasiya.com is for the sad day you leave your family or someone in your family leaves you. In that case, you want to make sure that the investments or the assets that you have acquired over the period of your life are distributed in a Sharia compliant manner. Make sure you go to mywasiya.com. Get your Sharia compliant will made in as little as 15 minutes. Just print that baby out and go to a notarizer who will then endorse it in a legal manner. That being said, is there anyone else here? Oh, there you are. Okay. I got a lot of screens here now.
Alrighty, guys.
All right, guys. We will see you guys on Taboo Thursdays. Sheikh Amir, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you,
It was a
Amir. It's
pleasure on a
wonderful to
Monday
see you.
night.
You
It's
guys
very
twisted my
difficult.
arm and started
Nawar
threatening me, so I
Ghurfa, it's
had
good
to.
to see you. You are the light in this room.
No, you're.
Please keep us in your du'as, ya Sheikh.
Just look at. Why are you guys acting? Yes, Sheikh? By the way, ladies and gentlemen, when this turns off, they don't call me Yes Sheikh or anything. It's quite the contrary. They probably call me Shaitan and Dajjal. That's what they call me.
Oh, speaking of Dajjal, we got to do a good
Speaking
Dajjal
of
episode.
Dajjal, we gotta get Dajjal on.
No, we
Oh, by the way, before we end here, dude, listen.
We
by
should
the way,
have a
listen,
prediction.
by the way, for those of you that don't know, wait,
we should have
that don't
predictions.
know,
Who could be the next Dajjal?
I'm gonna give you guys a little snippet of what we'll talk about next time. Sim back in the days used to go to Google Earth and he would try to find out where Ya'juj and Ma'juj are coming out from. And I would go to his house literally and he would be on Google Earth like, hey, you think they could be from here? I think
No, because I looked
here.
in the historical documents where the Khulafa actually sent expeditions out
Georgia?
into Transoxania. Do you know where Transoxania is? Modern day
modern-day
Uzbekistan. Let me. Oh man,
We'll
we
talk
got to
about
wrap the show up.
We'll talk about it later, but yeah, that's a preview. Okay.
All right, guys. We will see you all. Assalamu alaikum, and have a good week.